Dun 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 dun. The Sleepy Cub, starring
John Anderson.
Savannah, Wesson. Ariel, Pfeil.
and a new Hazzan. Okay.
Alrighty, so which of the 10 themes is most important in elementary? Discuss each before deciding.
Sweet. So we can start off with the first theme, which is culture.
So what is culture about?
So when it comes to culture and like history, we wrote like it's all about creating experiences for everyone to to create, learn, and share about other cultures.
Culture, just knowing like, a community's values. Everyone has different values and experiences that honestly create who they are as a group or as individuals as well.
Mm-hmm. So the second theme would be time, continuity, and change. I didn't say that word right. It's fine. Which is mostly about like how time progresses and how
history.
We should like include experiences that study past.
Study the past. That's history.
Yeah.
Study the past. Sorry.
Yeah, so it's just understanding the past, how it relates to the future, how that time back then still relates to our time today, the changes that have occurred.
It's very like exactly what you think when you're in social studies class. Like you're learning about historical events and certain people and like what they did that was specific.
Yeah, how those events affected others.
And the order and how it continues on in time.
Yeah.
And progression. Okay, the third theme is people, places, and environments. So,
This is about like geography and economics and sociology, and basically it's the relationships between the physical world and the people that are in it.
and how they correlate. That is worth mentioning. The fourth theme is individual development and identity, which is mostly deals with psychology, sociology, anthropology, and how individuals develop and create identity.
Yeah, this is super critical for like kids because that's the time when they are like creating their identity and stuff, and for them to get like direct instruction and being like guided through that process.
Yeah, especially in middle school when they're reaching identity crisis stage, and that egocentric mindset comes back. So they're really figuring out who they are and their place in society.
So the next one was individual groups and institutions.
Okay.
Is the next theme.
So that mostly has to do with, I'm guessing, oh wait, no, it's not government. Government's the next theme.
No.
Well,
Oh, it's similar.
It's
say
kind of,
government,
I
too.
guess it's like government associations, like,
institutions
like-
can be a government.
yeah, and like political parties
Yeah.
and certain things like that.
Yeah. And for this one and the next one we'll talk about, but it's like super important for elementary schoolers to get like respect and understand that we should respect institutions, groups, and individuals that like will affect our daily lives, even if we like don't agree with them.
The next we have power, authority, and governance, which is actually really important. We need to learn how to respect our government because, as you can tell in our times now, people have trouble respecting authority, and that causes destruction of a society.
And this can be big government or small government, like in your school system, like SGA.
Yeah.
Teachers, principals.
Student government even made up by the students.
Yeah. So it's something you can like create a little like a real life experience for the kids, like
Have the
having
kid-
their own government.
Yeah,
and
maybe
stuff.
have the kids vote on like presidencies or having like their own parliament system, depending on where you're coming from. And the second theme is production, distribution, and consumption.
This is really mostly economics, just goods and services, how they connect. It can be like, you can include scarcity in there. These are all part of social studies, different topics. Scarcity can make really fun activities from that, where everyone has a bunch of marshmallows, and then you take like half away, and people start bartering and trying to exchange for other people's marshmallows because now they're scarce.
Good one. And then we have science, technology, and society as a whole. So I feel like that kind of goes with like environments and people and places, and like government, because society, depending on what type of society you're talking about, also has someone like a governing head, I guess, and how people kind of fit together. Also, sorry. There you go.
this is huge with like even nowadays, like as technology becomes more part of our lives, and like teaching kids at a young age like the boundaries that come with that, and even like that while technology is super great, like we need to put limits on it and stuff like that, and what our role with that would be.
It also is a good time to discuss like the advancements we've made as like a society from the different science and technological revolutions we had. So yeah. Then we have global connections, which is like diversity and collaboration. It kind of goes along with culture.
Yeah, I say it goes along with culture
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, but it's more like global, like how we can make connections with like different like countries.
Different students within the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
This will lay even like a good foundation for like future history, because it'll have them like know that they should appreciate other cultures and be like tolerant of that.
And then we have civic ideals and practices. That is like citizenship, central focus of social studies, and what is our individual responsibilities. Mm-hmm.
Yes, that would be like, your civic duty to vote, learning about that. And a lot of these connect with one another. Like that would go with power, authority, and governance, or institutions.
They all relate in some way.
Yeah.
Okay, so out of these 10, which one of these things do you believe is the most important? John?
There's a couple. I mean, personally, I would really like to emphasize like science and technology as far as like the boundaries of technology go. That's something like I'm super passionate about. Kids not like going overboard. But I also think it's important to also at this like early elementary to teach kids respect for government. So like 6 and 7 are big for me. So one of those maybe.
How about you, Savannah?
I kind of want to go along with John and say that each of them have their own significance of importance, but I personally think, kind of like I was saying earlier, that people, places, and environments are important, just because learning about the different people and which ties in with different cultures and where they're from and how they grew up is really important in a classroom in order for the teacher to relate to them or how to teach them. But each of them are important, I think.
What do you believe, Ariel?
I really think for like number 1 and 2 are most important, just because, history cognate, history affects everything that we do today, everything in the past, and we don't want to repeat history. We don't want to repeat the negative aspects of history. And it helps explain why we do the things that we do a lot of times, but it can also explain how cultures came to be, how individual ideals occurred. And so culture, I feel like, is also very important, just to understand one another in this world, and how to relate to each other as well.
In my personal opinion, I kind of believe that the individual development and identity is the most important, because it's hard for a student to comprehend like all the different important figures and the different cultures that people come from when they don't know themselves where they come from or who they are. And I feel like you need to come from where you are and then work outwards to figure out how you kind of fit in with everything that goes around you. Okay, so the second question.
If we had to choose one as a group, though.
Yeah.
If we had to choose one as a group,
Which
how could we relate it to our overall unit plan as well is the next question.
Yeah.
So what theme would we
Interior
say
teaching.
applies to our unit plan?
I think culture, maybe, because we did get the
I
Native
would say
Americans,
culture.
and we're, especially in the classroom settings that we have, and depending what state we're in, we might not be teaching in a classroom where they have a huge percent of Native Americans, and now we're talking about like a whole like different culture that they're not, like the students aren't really involved in, are not from. So I mean,
Yeah.
we're immersing
You're not going to
ourselves.
understand the government aspect of like their culture, or how they see themselves and others, until you understand the broad aspect of the whole culture itself.
And I think that one's kind of an umbrella for everything else, because culture is all about like creating experiences of teaching us about different people, and that'll have to do with all the other things, because once you understand like the way someone is, you'll get respect for them, or you'll start to reflect on yourself and figure out your own identity and what your culture is like. So yeah.
Okay.
So how can we as future teachers encourage critical thinking with these themes? How can we do
feel like having our students like think about what these different themes mean to them, and like going through like history and discussing it. I mean, just like I forgot where I was going with this. We're more like deep thinking and like having ourselves explore and like go through
Understanding.
Yeah.
The different
Yeah.
ones.
Like you're not just telling them this is what you should think or what you should believe, but you explain the different types of government. You explain how they work. You can explain, geography and how it affects people and culture. But what people choose to like think this is the right way of doing things, or maybe I could do this better. That you leave that up to the students. You don't necessarily think for them. You just allow them to come to their own conclusions of what they think is best.
Yeah. When I was in school, I always thought social studies was like strictly just history and like memorize these facts and dates and stuff like that. But when you look at it like this with the 10 different themes, it's all about like you as a person like studying like social studies is studying like the social patterns of everything and what we can do as a result of those.
Well, that was a great discussion. See you next week Friday,
Woo!
Dr. James.